rethinking everything. Okay, here's what I'm rethinking. Everything. In particular, two big things for me. The first, there is no one way. So that montage of me getting in the boat was because this week on someone else's channel, someone who's blocked on this channel ripped apart absolutely everything about me. One of the things that they took umbrage with was that I never show myself getting into the boat, which I think is about the most ridiculous criticism I have ever received. So I don't show myself getting in the boat because frankly, it's boring and it's a big shot of my crotch. So that was 5 years of me getting into my boat. But here's the thing, I don't get in the boat the way everyone is taught to get in the boat. That's why there's no one way. That's why there's no dogma. If you want to see a video about getting into and maybe out of kayaks, leave a comment down below and specify just getting in, getting out. I do it a little bit differently, but I've got reasons why I do it a little bit differently. And if it's something you're interested in, let me know. Happy to do it. Okay, so what do I mean by there's no dogma? I mean this. In 20 years, 22 years of teaching kayaking. So about 2002, I started teaching kayaking. Then I started working for Knowles. Then I started working for REI and Knowles. And in that time, I've taught probably around 1,000 people how to paddle a kayak. And my specialty is teaching new paddlers, which I really find rewarding. But here's the thing. Of those 1,000 people, you can't teach the same thing the same way to everyone because people learn differently. Also, not everybody has the same abilities or limitations. So you have to find ways to teach these skills to people with different abilities and limitations. There's no way around. On a side note, I will say, every time I've looked at a student and imparted my own beliefs on their limitations based on what I'm seeing, I've been so wrong every time. So finally I learned to stop doing that. We can all do just about everything. And if we can't, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I can't do that. But it's my job as an instructor to say, if you can't do that thing the way I'm teaching it, I gotta find a new way to teach it. And I've seen great instructors who couldn't adapt to the fact that someone was not picking up a concept or being able to do something. Oh, it is so nice that the sun is out. It's been raining here for over a week. If an instructor tells you this is the way to do this and there is only one way, find a different instructor. So I've always been pretty good, I think. I've always worked pretty hard to continue to evolve my skills and my abilities. And an example of that is about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, I did a video about the 3 types of draw strokes. And if you haven't seen that, it's up here. But in it, someone said in the comments, hey, we don't teach the draw stroke like that because when you put your hand over your head, it jeopardizes your shoulder. And particularly as a wilderness medicine teacher, I know that. I know that anytime your elbow is above your shoulder, it takes very little backward pressure to dislocate it. So I was like, oh, interesting, that's cool. But here's the thing. I was taught to do the draw stroke and to get the paddle as vertical as possible. And I was always chided by my instructors when I couldn't get the paddle vertical because my arms are short. I was physically not capable, but to them, I was doing it wrong. And that's wrong. We need to adapt the way we teach things and do things to meet the abilities of the people we're teaching. And so I changed the way I do the draw stroke. So I am now actively seeking out better ways to do things that I've done the same way all along. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that any of the core foundations of kayaking that we are all taught aren't true. Yes, we want to get good torso rotation, right? Yes, we don't want to pull the paddle back. We want to rotate and push the paddle forward. All those things are true, but there's 1,000 ways to get there, right? So on torso rotation, you can talk about the paddler's box or the power box, or rotating your core. I actually talk about rotating at the belly button because otherwise you get shoulder movement, which doesn't help. So there's 1,000 ways to get where we need to go, and I'm now looking for more of those ways. Ooh, headwind. See? That's something else I do that no one else does. So my first book was called Enlightened Kayaking. And Enlightened Kayaking borrowed from Buddhism, it borrowed from martial arts. In particular, it borrowed from Bruce Lee and Jeet Kune Do. And it brought that together with kayaking. Because if you're gonna make a book for people to buy, it should be as niche as possible. I think that book has sold about 20 copies. Hey, if you're one of those people, thank you very much. Jeet Kune Do was founded by Bruce Lee in his response to the classic martial arts. And the classic martial arts say this: when your opponent does this, you do this. When your opponent does this, as a follow-up to what you did, you do this. So it's a back and forth. You do this, I do that. And even when I was originally taught martial arts, I was taught that it's a dance. You're reacting to their reaction. But Bruce Lee was like, that's wrong. It's way more fluid, and it has to be more fluid. So something that I talk about is the salad bar approach. Here are all of these things that you can do in a boat. Find the ones that work for you, and the ones that don't work, leave it behind. Don't even worry about it. Bruce Lee famously said, absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, add what is uniquely your own. And that's what I'm working on. A lot of discarding the useless. One of the things that I teach that I don't see a lot of other instructors talking about is stroke integration. It's the ability to go from one stroke, like a forward stroke, to a sweep stroke, adding an edge, to a sweep stroke on the other side, and maybe then a low brace turn. And all of those things should flow from one to the other. So you're not like doing forward stroke, turning stroke. I really hate that one because it slows the boat down. Back to a forward stroke, back to a low brace turn. That one's fun. I think it should be much more fluid, much more natural. If you were walking down the street and I said to you, walk, then run, then turn, then walk, you wouldn't have to think about making your body do those things. Your body would just do those things. And that's where you should be in a kayak. That's where we should all be in a kayak. So that's what my first rethink is. I'm rethinking not only the way that I teach things, and the other thing that I'm rethinking is fitness. So after a winter of barely paddling, I feel weak, and honestly, I feel a bit rusty in the boat. Moving north, it is way colder in the winter than I am used to. I paddled heartily all winter in North Carolina and even Norfolk, Virginia, but it is way colder up here, and so I didn't paddle nearly as much. I also, because I wasn't paddling, was losing sort of fitness points, like how much fitness am I getting in the course of a week? And I need to dramatically increase that, even though I'm now paddling more regularly. The problem is I keep aging. Surprisingly, for some reason, I keep aging. If someone has a solution to that, besides death, I'm interested. So I'm in the process of converting my garage into both gear storage and a gym, so that I have gym facilities on premises, as well as I am running all the time. I am running a lot, and I don't really like running. Because I've got to keep that cardio up, I've got to keep the weight down, all of those things play together, and I've got to paddle more, and I've got to be working on my skills. These are all the things that I'm rethinking. And another big part of this will really start in the fall. I have a big trip that I'm not ready to talk about yet that will be not this summer, but next summer. This summer I'm going to Nova Scotia and Maine and Prince Edward Island. Next summer I'm going someplace else to do a pretty epic 3-week adventure that does not involve a kayak. So I've got to be in like tip-top shape for that, and that training is going to start as soon as I get back from Nova Scotia in August. I mean, it's already kind of started because I'm running all the time, but I'm going to transition to more cardio and different cardio and things like that. And weight training. Let's not forget weight training. I'd love to forget weight training, but let's not forget weight training. Okay, so that's my rethinking plan. I hope you're on board with me. I hope you're rethinking things you need to get a better year out of 24 than you got out of 23. My 23 wasn't bad, but I need to change those things. If you're new to paddling, my books are available on Amazon or on Ko-fi in digital form. So down below are links to Ko-fi. If you like this channel, do me a favor, hit like, hit subscribe. You can also buy me a coffee on Ko-fi. There's all sorts of things there. There's float plans and gear lists and stuff like that. There's also the guides way, which I'm super excited about. Things I've learned that made my life easier in the outdoors. There's one for just outdoors, there's one for paddling. Those are available on Ko-fi. But there is one more thing. Stick around. Okay, here's the one more thing. I want to thank Tommy and Bob and Aubrey and Tim and Simon and probably a million others. These are folks who consistently leave me positive thanking comments. In the past month, I had 2 videos go really big, which is great. But the flip side is that I know that I'm going to get killed by someone in the comments. And in the past month, I've been called egotistical. I have a bad attitude, supercilious, which means superior, but I feel like it's a superior way to call me superior, which seems to defeat the purpose. Yeah, all because I said that I don't wear the North Face. So I want to thank those folks who are always watching and always positive. If you come here to tell me how horrible I am, you're going to get deleted. It's that simple, because I want my comments to be an environment that is affirming and positive and looks on the bright side. If it really upsets you that I don't wear the North Face, you should go watch someone else's video. Okay, that's the one last thing. I'll see you all in the water. It is blowing.